Hi, Erica. Can you hear me? Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Trying to pop into some lessons today.
I think Kira's muted herself.
Yeah, parents are redoing their bathroom, so there's gonna be a lot of noise in the background. So I'm just gonna mute when I'm not talking.
Okay, sounds good. We'll wait a little bit longer and see if anybody else shows up. How are you doing, Erica? Are you okay?
Sí.
That's good. Did you have a chance to watch the video already for this lesson for this week?
Sí. Lo vi.
How about you, Kira?
Huh? Sorry.
Did you have a chance to take a look at this week's lesson?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Let's see if any of the guys join us. Well, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and do our highs and lows like we've been doing. Kira, do you have a high and a low?
I guess a high would be I drew something that I'm really proud of. I tried to do lineless, like I used shadows and stuff to actually create the shape instead of using lines, and it came out really good, so I'm proud of that.
Great. Let Gabriel in. Can you show it, or you feel like you could show it to us?
It's on my computer, so I don't know how I'd be able to do that.
Right.
And it's not entirely done.
So you drew it on your computer?
Yeah, I drew it digitally.
Hi, Gabe.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, we're doing highs and lows. Well, Kira just said she had a great high from doing her a drawing in a new way without lines. Did you have a low, Kira?
An issue that I'm having with my ankle has been flaring up a lot, so it really hurts. So that would be a pretty decent low.
Does it just come up on its own, or did you have to like twist it or something to make it hurt?
It's kind of an inflammation, so it'll randomly just spark up. So it's been hurting a lot lately.
That's too bad. How about you, Erica? Do you have any highs, positives or negatives to share from the week?
Sí. Pero no sé cómo decirlo en inglés.
Uh-oh. Can you say slower? Maybe I can understand.
Yo pegué más hojas en mi cuarto.
I'm sorry, I don't know that much Spanish. Gabe, can you translate? Do you know any Spanish? Or Kira, you're taking Spanish? Maybe you'll understand what Erica is saying. Hi, Noah.
I don't speak any Spanish. Oh dang, it's Noah, finally.
Hi, Noah. Comes a few more people.
That's great.
Angel.
Finally, Noah, jeez.
Hi, Noah. How are you doing? Want to say hi? Oh, is it your video? Your sound doesn't work? That's what you said last time, I think. That's what we figured out last time. Your sound doesn't work. All right. Well, Gabe, do you want to say your highs and lows for the week? And we're waiting for people to come.
My what?
Like a positive thing that's happened that you're enjoying, or negative thing, or both.
I get to sleep in.
You did what?
I get to sleep in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying that too. Instead of waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Actually, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning anyways. I'm not sure what I'm saying. And negative, any negatives?
No, not really.
Okay. How about you, Angel? Any positives or negatives from the week?
No, not really.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to go over some of the problems from this assignment that I just posted this week, because I think at least the last few problems on the assignment are kind of tricky. So I'm going to go over the first problem and one of the last problems, and I'll share it with you on my doc camera. All right, can you guys all see that?
Yeah.
So in this problem, we're graphing this equation, and this one is in factored form already. It's already set up for us here. And so if you had a chance to watch the video, basically the questions that are being asked are the same as what I did on the graph paper, but this one's already set up for you. So we want to figure out if this parabola would open up or down. And we can tell that by looking at the leading term here. So what do you guys think? Is it going to open up or down? Anybody have any ideas?
Up, I'm assuming.
Up. And why do you think that?
Because the first number is positive.
That's right. So if the first number is positive, then it's going to open up. And if the first number is negative, then it'll open down. So we're going to have some kind of parabola that's like this, opening up. So will the vertex be a maximum or a minimum? Let's get somebody else to answer that one. What do you guys think? You think it's going to be the vertex is going to be a maximum or a minimum? Is Angel still here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
What do you think, Angel?
I don't know.
Well, the vertex will be at this point here where the parabola turns, makes that U. So it's this point here. So what does that look like to you, a maximum or a minimum point?
I think it's a
Gabe?
maximum.
No, not quite.
No?
So it is going to be the lowest point of this parabola. So if it's the lowest point, that makes it the minimum. All right, so then we want to find the x-intercepts, and the way we find the x-intercepts is by looking at the factors. If we set each factor equal to 0, then that's going to give us our x-intercepts if we solve them. And so it's already factored, so we just set it equal to 0 and solve. So we're going to subtract 3 here, and we'll get x equals -3, and here we'll get x equals 1. So those are our x-intercepts, -3 and 1. So we can go ahead and put those on our graph here. -3 would be here, and 1 would be here. Okay, so you've got those 2 points. And then the axis of symmetry is going to be right in the middle of those 2 numbers. Remember, the axis of symmetry cuts the parabola in half. So somewhere along here is where our axis of symmetry is. So we have to think about the middle of these 2 values. So if I'm going 1 point this way and 3 points this way, altogether it's 4 points. And so to find the middle point, that would be halfway. And so it would be where? It would be halfway. Can somebody tell me a value halfway between these 2 numbers?
¿Dónde está el 1?
Yeah, -1. So right there is our axis of symmetry. So we would say that it's x equals -1. Good job. All right, so then we have to find the vertex. The vertex is somewhere on this axis of symmetry. And so I know that it's going to have the same x coordinate as everything on this line. It has the same x coordinate of -1. So I'm going to put -1 there and figure out what the y coordinate would have to be. And the way I do that is I just plug in -1 up here in this equation and I figure out what this equals, because that's going to tell me the y, the corresponding y value. So let's do that here. I've got 2, -1 plus 3, and -1 minus 1. 2 times -1 plus 3 is 2. -1 minus 1 is -2. And so altogether, 2 times 2 times -2, what do I get? Somebody tell me. Gabe, can you tell me?
What am I telling you?
Telling me what 2 times 2 times -2 is.
-5, 8.
Right, -8. No? Yeah, 2 times 2 times 2. Yeah, -8. So then I got to plot this point, -1, -8, on my graph here. So on this axis, right down here is my axis of symmetry, or my vertex on this axis of symmetry. Okay, I can also find the y-intercept by letting x equal 0. That was something we did on the notes. If I let x equal 0, that will give me my y-intercept. So I'm going to put that over here. This is not something you have to do on this assignment, but it might help to find a nice curve. So if I put 0 in for x, I get 2 times 3 times -1. And so that's going to be -6. And since this is a parabola, I have a matching point over here on the other side of the axis of symmetry that matches this y-intercept. And so then we can draw this nice parabola. Okay, so then the last two questions here, it is asking for the domain and range. If you remember, the domain are the x values. And in all parabolas, the x values would be every real number would be covered. This will keep going in both directions. So all real numbers, you can say, are from -infinity to +infinity. The range here is only going to be certain values because there's nothing that's going to be on our graph below this number here. It's all going to be above that number. So what would you say is the range? I can't hear Noah, so I'll have to go ask Kira. What would you think is the range, Kira? What y values? Here.
-8 is less than or equal to y. I guess I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
you
sure.
can say it that way. You can say it that way. I would say y greater than or equal to -8, but you can also say -8 less than or equal to y. That's the same thing. So all the y values would be greater than or equal to -8. All right, so there's the first one done, and that's kind of what you need to do on the remaining problems on 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6 on the next page as well. And then I wanted to go over one of these from the bottom of the second page because that's going backwards. It's a little bit different. So let's choose one of these. How about we do the last one? So we've done the first one, let's do the last one. So it's asking us to go through these steps, write the equation of the parabolas below in factored form. First, we're going to find the zeros of the equation. So it looks like this one is at -2, and this one is at +6. And so the zeros and the factors are opposites of each other. I don't know if you've been noticing that as you go through these problems, but we did go over it in the notes. The 0 was -3 and the factor was +3 here. The 0 was 1 and the factor was -1. So it's always minus whatever our 0 is to get that opposite. So it's minus a -2, which makes that a +2, and -6, which makes it just -6. Okay. So those are our factors. We do have some kind of an a value here, and we'll get to that in a minute. It says plug the zeros into the factored form. We've done that. Use the y-intercept to find the value of a in the factored form. So let me see if I can read this. It looks like the y-intercept on this problem is at 35. You guys see that? 35? You agree with me? I can't see very well, but I think that's 35. And so that's the point right there. 0, 35. And so I'm going to use that information to figure out what my a value is, and a is this value right here. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 0 for x here and here. I'm going to let y equal 35 here, and I'm going to solve that result. If 35 equals a, I'm going to put an a in there for now. 0 plus 2 and 0 minus 6. Okay, so I've just plugged in this x coordinate and I've plugged in this y coordinate into this these factors here. I'm going to see what I get when I solve for a. All right, it may be that that was 36, because 36 would sure be a nicer number as I'm thinking about this. We get a 2 times -6, which is -12, so I get -12a. And if that is 36, then that's a nice number. So I'm going to go ahead. It's hard to see where that crosses, and I have a feeling that it probably was -6 instead of 35. So I'm going to make that 36, divide both sides by -12. What's 36 divided by -12? Can somebody tell me? Angel or Erica or Gabe?
-3.
Tres.
-3, right, -3. So a is -3. And then that's a nicer number than that fraction would have been with 35 there. Okay, so that's finding the a value, and then find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is going to be right in the middle where between these two. So if I go 2 units or 2 squares that way and 2 squares that way, that will be the middle. So the axis of symmetry is this vertical line, and the way we write it is x equals whatever the x coordinate is for all these points. It's going to be at +2, so the axis of symmetry is +2, x equals 2. And the vertex is this point up here. Again, it's going to be hard to figure that out because of the way the units are set up. But I know that the x coordinate is 2. So I'm actually going to plug in 2 in for x and figure out what this whole thing equals to get a very better number than just guessing by eyesight. I can't see those numbers very well. So if I plug in the x coordinate of the vertex, which I know is 2, I can figure out what the y coordinate is. So I have -3, -3 times 2 plus 2 times 2 minus 6. I'm multiplying these all together. So -3 times 4 times -4. 12 times -4, a -12 times -4 is a +48. So that looks like what that is going to be, is 248 right there. Whoops, I wrote that wrong. 248 is that point. All right, so that's what you want to do for these remaining 7, 8, and 9 is working backwards. Find the x-intercepts, make them factors by writing the opposite. So let's take another one. If this is 2, it'd be x minus 2, and if this is -4, it'd be x minus a -4, which makes it +4. Looking at this assignment, are there any other problems that you guys would like to ask, or questions you'd like to ask? You guys have any other questions?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop recording this, but we can keep going. If you guys want to play another game like we did last time, we can do that.